Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you are watching this. Thank you for doing so. I'm your host, the founder of 360 Degree Ministries, where the love of Christ must come full circle. And today we are actually wrapping up a Friday feature. We're wrapping up one of my favorite topics to talk about, and that's functional masculinity. So it's been since New Year's since we talked about this. So let's run through them one more time, and then I'm going to talk about the fifth thing, and then I'm going to try to wrap everything else around the fifth topic. Pardon me. So these are the 5 things that all functional masculinity has to do. Now, this isn't an exhaustive list. This isn't the total picture of functional masculinity, but these are 5 prerequisites. First thing is to be able to snuff out insecurity. Being conscious to seek it out, but not so conscious that a man's trying to be controlling, because that's not a thing. The second thing that all functional masculinity must do is be relied upon to make tough decisions. Now, in the reliance of being relied upon to make tough decisions, what this does not mean is that a man is supposed to be like, ooh, boo, you're going to do what I say. God gave the man dominion. God gave the woman dominion. Once there's an accord, so long as God's order, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3, is not subverted, the woman can go out and do as she please. The woman is gifted in whatever she's gifted in her detailing by nature, and gifted by task, detailing by nature. However that looks is the way it's supposed to look. And as long as it's flowing, it's fine. Being able to be relied upon to make tough decisions does not mean that you're sitting there trying to make every decision. That woman if you got a woman in your world, she got her own mind. And if she got her own mind in Christ, you got to trust Christ to be able to speak to her. And hopefully you reinforcing what Christ say, and not contradicting what Christ say, because Christ will go around you to empower that woman. He ain't tripping, because he know his masculinity is the best masculinity. Next thing that all functional masculinity must do is don't take it personal. We talked about this the last session, and in the process of not taking it personal, we have some issues with this. Taking things personal is bad whether you're a man or a woman. However, since the man's supposed to be relied upon to make the tough decisions, the nitty-gritty decisions, since a man's supposed to snuff out security, since a man's supposed to take ownership, since the man's supposed to be the pastor of the household, if he's taking things personal, he's probably not functioning out of any of that other stuff. And if the man's supposed to be the head of the family and the brain's damaged, then what the body gonna do? Nothing functional. So there's a greater domino effect when the leadership of the family is compromised. Last session we talked about taking ownership always. And in the process of taking ownership, this doesn't mean that a man is supposed to do everything. Just like a man's not supposed to make every decision, he's not supposed to do everything. You can't take whatever. If you got a woman, if you have a woman in your world, you can't take away what she gifted in. You can't take away the thing that she gifted. You can't take away that detailing power. We always want to talk about how femininity needs masculinity. Well, masculinity needs femininity to do its thing too. These things are not designed to control femininity. And let me get right in the camera on this one. You see me? Yeah, you, whoever you are out there. Masculinity, these things that I'm talking about, these things do not subjugate femininity. They do not subjugate femininity. Masculinity is not designed to subjugate femininity in leadership. The leadership of masculinity is designed to empower femininity. So if your stuff is not if you're a man, you got a woman in your world, and your stuff is not empowering that woman, you need to go holler at Christ, because the things of Christ empower. So godly masculinity is supposed to empower, particularly the femininity that is directly reliant upon it, according to what God has presented to the man, per the whole Adam and Eve piece. All right, so the last element of functional masculinity, all functional masculinity must do is snuff out errant ideas. Anything that don't look like Jesus should not be allowed in what you're taking care of. Not just in a romantic, marital kind of piece, but anything that you are taking care of as a man, if it don't look like Christ, you got to snuff it out. So let me stop here for a second, because what I've realized is that 360-degree ministries is supposed to be where the love of Christ comes full circle. It is not supposed to be where the protocol of Christ comes full circle. Now, we can't have love without God's order, because he loves us with his order, and he orders us in his love. But I don't want this unit to go down to something that's protocol heavy. So I'm glad we have this errant ideas piece as the fifth thing, because it kind of encompasses the other four. Because think about it like this: you have an errant idea, that errant idea is going to produce insecurity. A man, it is going to produce chaos and disorder and dysfunction in such a way that nobody else in your system is going to be able to make a decision, because that's just what deception and chaos and disorder and dysfunction do. And if an errant idea comes in, that usually means sooner or later that somebody gonna take something personal. If you the man that's designed to lead it, not subjugate it, but lead it. You're not the boss, you're the leader. You have, and you absolutely have to understand these things about taking stuff personal, because you can't let the errant idea take you, because as when Jesus talked about the tying up the strong man to plunder the household, the errant idea is probably coming for you first. And whether it takes dominion over you or it gets you distracted on something else, it's gonna do basically one of them two things. It's either gonna dominate you, or it's gonna get you distracted on something else, while the thing that you're supposed to take care of, or the person you're supposed to take care of, because it's not always a person, it's like a task or a ministry or something like that. We talk about functional masculinity in the context of dealing with women, but we also have to deal with functional masculinity in the context of dealing with younger men, dealing with children, and dealing with ministries and purpose. All this stuff I've been talking about since October encompasses all these different things. And the reason why I'm kind of doing it is because, well, first reason is that this kind of masculinity, which was proven to me very recently, is a dirty term. And another reason is that because it's a dirty term, and because it's a dirty term, it's not taught. Because it's not taught, you got men out here who can't make decisions, who can't provide security. I'm not talking about no financial security. That's the tip of the iceberg. I'm not tripping about no woman that got financial ambition. I ain't tripping about that. But there's a deeper security. There's far deeper security than the financial stuff. Because if financial security was the key to providing security, then the wives of Fortune 500 CEOs would never cheat. And then you have men who take things personal. They get in their feelings. They do all kind of throw it off stuff to tear up their dynamics. And I'm not no different. Every man struggles with these kind of things. Every man struggles with these kind of things. So let me take a time out before I start talking about the ownership part. Well, actually, it is the ownership part. In that, part of taking ownership as a man to make sure something operates like it's supposed to is understanding when you are dysfunctional. And understanding when something is attacking you spiritually. And doing battle with that which is attacking you spiritually. Being a functional man is not about not sinning, per se. Does God want us to not sin? Of course God wants us to not sin. Does God know we gonna sin anyway? God knows we gonna sin anyway. Does that mean that you get a free pass to sin? Absolutely not. So don't be going around saying, hey man, I heard on the Friday feature for 360 encouragement that, because God expects us to sin, that we can go ahead and go sin. I would charge the people to read Hebrews 10:26. Willfully persistence, ain't no grace. You're gonna bump into the law. Don't bump into the law. But what's my point with this? My point is that we have to understand these things. We have to understand all these things in the midst of taking ownership, because it's a struggle to be a godly man. It's a struggle to seek out God. There's so much temptation. And it's not just this visual temptation, that just go without saying. But there's a deeper temptation based on whatever damage that's been done to the man in his upbringing. Absentee father, dominant mom, abusive dad, that one relationship that the man thought was going to work and it blew up in his face and he don't really see that he played a role. Or, maybe it's one of those where he didn't necessarily play no direct role. She just decided she was going to roll out. These are all things that happen to men. These are all things that happen to godly men. But God provided the way out. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Ain't no temptation uncommon. So we have to understand this, especially in the midst of us falling short. Because falling short will be a thing in the midst of your spiritual walk. You're going to fall short. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to have all kind of ouch moments. Because sometimes the Holy Spirit is going to show up and be like, bruh. All right, let me get serious real quick. There's no sin. If a man is genuinely following God, there is no sin that can outflank the conviction of the Holy Spirit. In other words, if you're a man and you want God in your business and you start sinning, the Holy Spirit gonna come through and just stir your stuff up till you submit. You're gonna stir it up. That's just the way it works. So there's that. So ownership. That's what ownership looks like internally. Last time we talked about what taking ownership looks like externally. Now we're looking at the internal aspect of taking ownership, because we as men need that internal aspect of taking ownership to be able to take any ownership externally. If men, we're not doing that internal inventory, spiritual inventory, understanding where we weak and focusing on those things and understanding our struggle and to continue fighting. Let me say that again. To continue fighting. Ain't no ownership we're gonna be able to take externally. It ain't gonna happen. It's gonna hit some sort of dysfunction. It's gonna hit some sort of dysfunction, some gap in our spiritual health as men. It's gonna cause us to not be able to convey security. It's gonna cause us to miss a decision or not want a decision or to defer a decision. And most importantly, it will cause us to take things personally. Don't let that be you if you're watching this. Don't let that be you. Don't let that be a thing. Telling you, because most of these places I'm talking about, I either been there or I'm fighting them. I'm not no pastor. That's the primary reason why I'm not no pastor. It's the primary reason why I'm not a pastor, because primary reason is that that's an office I take very seriously. Secondary reason is, I'm not a preachy kind of dude. Some people would disagree. But as far as a traditional preacher context is concerned, that's just not who I am. And the third real aspect of it is, I'm just not sure if that's, what I've been gifted in. I got insight, but primary reason why I don't want to be a pastor is I don't feel like I'm worthy to be a pastor. That's a big deal. When you got separate scripture for spiritual leadership, now don't get me wrong. Men, as you lead, you kind of fall into that category too, because somebody going to be dependent on you in the midst of your spiritual leadership. I'm talking about pastorship. When you not just leading a family, you leading 10 families. And you have to watch that kind of stuff. You got to watch it. So we got 15 minutes into the video, and we still ain't really talked about the whole snuffing out errant ideas. Well, we kind of have. We talked about it in the context of the other 4. And just to wrap up the take ownership part, it's the errant ideas that will take away our empowerment to take that ownership, to make sure that what God has entrusted us to do will function like it's supposed to. It's just the bottom line of it. That's just how it works. So, with that said, just I really don't know what else to. I really don't know what else to say on that whole piece. But let's just focus more on the errant ideas kind of deal. So, I said a few minutes ago that this is supposed to be relational, where the love of Christ comes full circle, not the protocol of Christ. So, in the midst of that, we have to be able to understand that old stereotypical saying, you can attract more bees you attract more flies with honey and vinegar or something like that. I think that's the way it go. If you are protocol heavy, then you are legalistic, but you are also Pharisaic. And Matthew by itself showed that Pharisaicism, say that 3 times fast. Anyway, the Pharisees and the religious order of the day didn't have no power. And guess what's going to happen to your household if you don't got no power? It's going to get tore up. All them errant ideas going to be coming through there like straight goons, taking over your stuff, pushing you over like D-ball for Friday or something. Don't let that be you. And the reason why I say protocol is because it's relationship that's empowered. And you can do this either in a take dominion kind of context, or you can do it in a grace kind of context. And I want to give 2 scriptural examples of how Jesus does this. One in a dominion kind of context and in a kind of grace kind of context. First passage is going to be Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 through 29, thereabouts. Right after Jesus talked about, I'm going to build my church and the gates of hell can't prevail against it. It's a couple verses after that. So I'm just going to read, the real focus I want is 21 through 23. And without further ado, this scripture is as follows. From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed, and on the 3rd day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, Far be it for you, Lord, this shall never happen to you. But then he turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on the things of man. Let's think about this one for a minute. First thing you have to understand is that Peter has been walking with Jesus. As far as earthly things are concerned, earthly human things are concerned, Peter is Jesus' best friend. Could you imagine being Jesus' best friend? Not in the spiritual sense, because that's the goal. A wise man that I hold dear to my heart always says me and Jesus best friends. And I love that. But tangential stuff aside, this is supposed to be Jesus' boy, his disciple, who went on to write some scripture. And what we see here is we see his humanism on display, because they got all of the momentum of the ministry and all this stuff going on. And Peter's all happy and hunky-dory and learning and stuff like that, but he's not thinking. He's not thinking about what would truly glorify God. What would truly glorify God. Jesus died on the cross for the sins of every man, woman, and child that ever was at the time, or ever will be to the end of time. That will glorify God. The ministry stuff is good. Jesus dying and being resurrected on the 3rd day, much better. But you see how Jesus didn't have no filter with this dude? He ain't had no filter with this dude. He just like, look, man, you got weed stuff in you to steal something over from 360 encouragement, the weekend encouragement piece. You got some weed stuff in you. Don't let no. You got weed stuff, and you need to get that stuff out of you, man, because you in my way, and I need you to get out of my way. And then we have another example, because that was the protocol example. That was kind of a heavier protocol example. When you have when you've been walking with somebody for a while, you can take more shots like this, depending on what they're struggling with. You can take more shots like this. You're not supposed to do it at first, and you really don't want to take a shot at a woman like that, because what we talked about, snuff out insecurity. You can't say something to snuff out insecurity that will create more insecurity. That is not how it works. Gentle reproof. Galatians 6:1. Gentle reproof. As hardcore as he was with Peter, that's still gentle reproof. He still didn't call Peter out his name. Got to be gentle. Got to be relational. Now let's talk about the John chapter 8 piece when Jesus saved a woman from being stoned. Verses 1 through 11. Read the scripture real quick. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say? This they said to test him, that they might have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. And he once more bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with a woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said, Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on sin no more. What we have here is we have Jesus showing grace, because God stepped into time. If Jesus wanted to have that woman stoned, he could have. Because he God. He God. I mean, he could do it if he wanted to. But what he understood was that the grace to fix the brokenness in the woman and get her on the path toward sanctification, salvation and sanctification was more important than the protocol. Men, when we snuffing out errant ideas, we have to understand that relationship, salvation, sanctification, and the full measure of whatever you're taking care of are more important than the protocol. I'm going to say that again. Men, when you are dealing with a woman, child, whatever, that's not to say you don't take dominion, but what we have to understand is that salvation, sanctification, restoration, we're going to throw that one in there too, and the full measure of whatever you are taking care of take precedent over protocol. Always take precedent over protocol. Matter of fact, let's do this, because your boy messed up just this week. Oh my goodness. I'm going to get tore up for this one. Your boy messed up just this week. Someone real special. They had a crisis. And I was like, well, blah, 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 do blah, 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 blah. And they were like, I understand you want to fix something, but it ain't time for fixing stuff. And I was just like, what? I could have video edited out and made that sound a little bit, I'd made that look a little bit more melodramatic, but I like jumped out of my skin. And she was like, "No, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for all that right now. Don't do that. You too preachy right now." I'm like, "What?" So, well, you tripping? Was what I said in my head. Next morning, Holy Spirit come through like, "Need you to let me in, bro. We need to talk." And boy, the Holy Spirit got with me so bad. He said, You over here running a whole ministry about being relational, and you gonna talk to her like that? She belong to me. You can't talk to her like that. You can't treat her like that. She belonged to me, period. You can't talk to her like that. And well, you know what he told me? He said, the relationship's more important than the protocol. And he said, look, you want to do my work? I said, yes, Lord. Then you got to understand the relationship's more important than the protocol. And this is how you're going to focus on relationship. He told me how to focus on relationship over protocol. I needed a crash course. So I'm paying it forward. Relationship over protocol. Relationship over protocol. There we go. And that's just how it works. That's how you snuff out errant ideas. Now, if you saw both in the Peter piece and the piece with the woman about to get stoned, Jesus snuffed out some errant ideas. He didn't just snuff out the errant idea of them tearing up the woman. He snuffed out the errant idea of the woman thinking that sin was okay. She got the real perspective on sin. She got the real perspective on salvation. And I would like to believe, we don't hear about this woman no more in Scripture, but I would like to believe this woman lived a pretty sanctified life. Or at least one that was on the path toward sanctification in full measure. Because that's actually how it works. You show them, you challenge the current perspective, you discredit the current perspective, give them what they need to move forward. That's all it's about. And 90% of functional masculinity is just that. Being relational, being patient, providing security. And in the context of providing security, relationship over protocol. Letting them get their stuff out and be in a place that can be relied upon. And that's kind of what all these 5 little elements kind of roll back into. Reliability. Now I'm closing. Reliability as a man. We live in a day and age where men not even expected to be reliable no more. I'm like, what? What? No. That's not to say man should do everything. That's not biblical. God wouldn't have given the woman any dominion if he didn't want the woman to play no role. Let the woman do what she do in her empowerment. It is our role, men, to be reliable in the perspective of building something up to his full measure, to building someone up to his full measure. All the people that we come across, I ain't just talking about marriage and whatnot. I just bring it to marriage and romance. Romantic Christian courtship is supposed to lead to marriage, and then we got marriage itself, which next to God is the most important relationship you're supposed to have anyway. So that's kind of how I skew it, but this applies to all relationships and anything that God has put in your lap for you to take care of. Because you got to stand before the bema seat. 2 Corinthians 5, 8 through 10. You're going to have to give account on them things. We talked about that a long time back. Mouth, motive, deeds in all your 5 areas. You got stuff to take care of in all your 5 areas. So, understand, men, that these 5 things, we're going to talk about them one last time. We're going to run through them one last time. Seek out and snuff out insecurity. That don't mean you run around like a goon. It means that when you see it, you relationally engage it, and you build it back up to where it's supposed to go. Second one is be relied upon to make tough decisions. That's not to say you're making all the decisions, but when can't nobody around you make no decision, you need to be empowered to be able to make a decision. Third one is don't take it personal. Nobody should take stuff personal. But if the man gonna be the leader, if the leader taking stuff personal, ain't nothing gonna work like it's supposed to. Take ownership. That don't mean the man's supposed to do everything. What it means is that he has to make sure everything's running like it's supposed to, in the spirit of leadership and dominion. And last but not least, probably most, snuff out anything that don't look like Jesus, but do so relationally. Do so in such a way that gives grace to the person who's hearing what you got to say. Because if you're not giving grace to the person who's hearing what you got to say, if you're not giving general proof, then what you building up? Yourself? Where's the Jesus in that? It is not to be found. No functional masculinity is in that at all. Be functional men. Be reliable. Hope you guys enjoyed this unit. It was a lot of fun for me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with this functional masculinity piece. Thank you for everything, rolling with me on this. Next unit will take place January 29th, we're going to start a new union on the 29th of January. And that's just what it's going to do. That's what it's going to be. That's how we're going to roll. That's what it's going to do. And one last time, men, I love y'all. I want to see good, strong, solid men taking care of what God has entrusted to them. So take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care, most importantly, of what God has entrusted to you. Have a good weekend, folks.